Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me. This is Michael Voss. I am the Dragon of the Southern Tier, and I'm happy to be with you tonight. Actually, not that happy because of why I'm with you tonight. The news that I have to speak with you about, the breaking news that is going on as we speak, is troubling. This is bad news. As many of you may be aware, I have been talking about what's been going on at Binghamton University since November 14th, when we first saw that the radical fringe left has been attacking students at Binghamton University. And we're seeing it get worse. In fact, this has started long before that when I was speaking about what happened to Turning Point USA's chapter when we saw radical students cyberbullying some of the students at Binghamton University. And Binghamton University has taken a stance of not caring. They have not taken a position to defend their own students. Rather, they took a political position to defend the radical far left, both in the cyberbullying and then again on November 14th, as I reported, when Binghamton University responded to us in our comments and our question about what are they going to do about students who destroyed property, who were menacing, who were harassing, who were intimidating, doing things that they claimed were the First Amendment, which everyone else understands is a violation of law. But what we heard is that the media didn't want to touch the story. The local media stayed away from it. The national media started catching attention of it. But no one really talked about it except for us, as we had students who were involved, who were victims of the harassment, of the menacing, that were on this program on Sunday, November 18th. And then today, November 19th, the students, the Binghamton College Republicans, had on their at the university Arthur Laffer, Dr. Arthur Laffer, an economist, to talk about the economy and the future of the nation. A very simple, very, if anything, dry kind of topic. And what did that turn into? Well, according to WNBG and other news media, protesters interrupted the speech Monday night. In fact, they didn't just interrupt the speech.
The group College Republicans hosted economist Dr. Arthur Laffer to speak at BU tonight. Now, PLOT, Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow, organized this protest using Dr. Laffer's speech time as their platform to deliver their message against racial discrimination and gun violence.
They interrupted just moments into the speech and in the end shut the event down. University police approaching the first protester with that person's supporters blocking their path. Now that person and another person who tried to interfere with police, both arrested.
Okay, so what do we know for a fact? And I have other video, but I'm not going to put it. I'm not going to put it on. There's a lot of sensational video that I could put out there. There's a lot of things that I could do to hype my channel, to get my name out nationally. And as much as I would like to do that, that's not the approach I'm going to take today. I've been speaking with many of the victims of this violence, and it is violent. It is a violent act to impede someone's freedom, to shut down their ability to speak, to hear other voices. You know what? Binghamton University took the position that the Republicans and conservatives were wrong, and they wanted to shut them down because they illegally spoke about what they believed without impeding anyone's freedom. Let's get this story right. The students at Binghamton University didn't block anyone, didn't force anyone to hear their voice. They gave them the option to hear what they had to say, to hear their opinion and their points of view. And because of that, as reported by the Binghamton Review, as we have shown, and as the Binghamton Review has put out there, the school newspaper at one of the school newspapers at Binghamton University, the progressives there made a targeted and protracted attempt to try to silence any other voice that was going to be heard. That's a problem. That's a big problem. So you have to ask yourself, why would the university take a position of the far left? Because they like the far left, apparently. Even though Assemblyman Doug Smith came out and said that Binghamton University needed to protect its students, that they needed to defend the freedom of speech. Binghamton University instead said, well, this is a problem of the college Republicans. But they said, okay, there is an event with an economist, Dr. Arthur Laffer, a renowned economist. And they said, okay, there's going to be an event. Let's have the event. And Binghamton University bent over backwards to give those protesters, progressive leaders of tomorrow, the fringe far left, gave them the opportunity to have an entire auditorium of their own, a room for them to protest and make a counter speech. They gave them the opportunity, and they insisted that they would have the opportunity to be able to speak out after Dr. Laffer had spoken and make any of their protests, to make any of their comments known. And this was told to the protesters before the event started, that they would be given all the time they needed to say anything they wanted. But you have to understand, when you're working with appeasement, and that is what Harvey Stanger, president of Binghamton University, has done. He appeased the far left. And just like we've seen appeasement work in the past, it worked the same way here. That wasn't good enough. Progressive leaders of tomorrow decided that they need to do what they did at the Columbus Day Parade in Binghamton, New York, and that is to destroy the ability of other individuals to live their life for their pursuit of happiness and liberty and freedom. That's very simple. And that's what they did. Just like was reported by WBNG and many other news agencies, they proceeded to create a riot. Not a protest, a riot. They didn't protest where they were able to speak and let others speak. No, they silenced others. And they claimed that that's their free speech, that their speech is more important, that they have a priority to be heard rather than others. Now, I have some emotional comments I've made on Facebook and other places talking about the red armbands. The last time I saw armbands were on Nazis. There was other statements I made, and I stand by them, emotional as they may be. But we have to understand, what we are seeing is not freedom. That is not free speech. That is an act of violence. That is an act of imposing their will on others. Your freedoms end at the other person's rights and their freedoms. You do not get to shout down people. You do not get to stop people from being able to exchange ideas, especially at a university. But the Binghamton University decided they wanted to go with nothing more than appeasement. And they got the result that everyone who appeases receives. They got ran over. Plot came in force. This was something they had planned. This was something that they wanted to have happen, because Plot believes that anytime they can get on the news, well, that's good for them. They don't care what people think. And so we are left with a very big question, which I started the program with in the first 5 seconds, which is, will Binghamton, New York become the next Portland, Oregon? Because we are well on the way for that. And it's very simple. Now, we could become that. And I have to ask, Councilman Conrad Taylor, who was part of the mob that attacked the Binghamton College Republicans, Councilman Taylor, Assemblywoman Donna Lepardo, County Executive Jason Garnar, Congressional Representative Anthony Brindisi, do you support this? Is this the Democratic Party that you are part of? Is this what you believe in? Is this what everyone is meant to accept as part of the Democratic Party? The It's very clear. Plot made it very clear. They were there to disrupt. They weren't there to speak. They weren't there to share their ideas. They weren't there to let people know how they felt about an issue. They were there to disrupt, to intimidate, to harass, to menace. Each of those being a crime in New York State and across the country. No. They were there to disrupt. And this is not the last time they're going to do it. This is how Portland became a scene where innocents were being struck down and attacked. Do we want to see Binghamton, New York to be that same way in 2020? Do we want to see any city in New York State or across the country to become just like Portland in 2019? I don't think we do. But we've heard from at least a couple of other representatives now. At this point, we've started to see a backlash. People are responding to this, and they're saying this is too much. Dan North had a wonderful tweet talking about this, that it's absolute madness at Binghamton University right now. That was one of the comments that was made. We also know that State Senator Fred Akshar has come out, and he has made a statement. And in his statement, he says that he is disgusted by the chaos we have witnessed erupt across the Binghamton University campus over the past several days. He goes on to say that these kinds of unconstructive and abusive stunts should have no place on the campus of an institution for higher learning. They do nothing but impede meaningful dialogue, higher learning, and expression of beliefs and ideas. On-campus organizations should be able to peacefully and respectfully gather, and the very fact that this needs to be stated is disheartening. Those are the words of State Senator Fred Akshar. I'm still waiting to hear the words of everyone else. Now, we know what the words of Representative Conrad Taylor were. Representative Conrad Taylor supports plot. He supported the attack of 200 organized individuals set upon 4 people. He believes, apparently, that it's okay for Democrats to silence others through intimidation and harassment and menacing. I have to ask Assemblywoman Donna Lupardo, County Executive Jason Garnar, Congressional Representative Anthony Brindisi, is this what the Democratic Party is? Is this what you believe in? Is this what you stand for? Because I have to believe that the public, the rank and file members of the Democratic Party, don't believe that. I don't believe they believe in riots. And I understand Masai and other members of Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow took over Binghamton University. They endangered students. They threatened students. They intimidated students. I understand that's the tactics that group uses, the same kind of terror tactics that we've seen from groups like ISIS. And I understand they think it's worth it. I don't think anyone else agrees. So this is really simple. We need to hear the other representatives, the Democrats, come out and denounce this. We need to see them take action to take over their party and to eliminate this scourge on the public. A scourge on Binghamton University, a scourge on the population in the Southern Tier. These aren't people who are willing to hear other voices. These aren't people who are willing to discuss their viewpoints and try to improve the community. They want their way or no way at all. And they're willing to do almost anything, and they are escalating. I have had several members of the press who have spoken with me privately and have told me at the scene about how they were threatened, how they were surrounded, how they were verbally assaulted and felt fear for themselves physically because they were just trying to get the story. The very story that plot somehow seemed to think that they wanted to get out. And that tells you everything. This is a problem. I'm very tired. It's been a very long night, and tomorrow will be a very early day. This is not over. But I have to say, our community, every community across America needs to come together and understand that the fanatical radicals of progressive leaders of tomorrow, of plot, should not be allowed to do this. I understand that members of plot, Aviva Friedman, Angela Riley, and their supporters may be members of plot, and they may believe in plot. But I can tell you that the community, the public, students do not. Threats, intimidation, menacing, harassment, they are not the tools that are used by a free and democratic people. Those are the tools that are used by authoritarians, by communists, by socialists, by China, North Korea, Venezuela. Name the horror show of any country in the world at this time, and they're using tactics that plot is using, not the other way around. We need to really seriously stop and think about this. I've been the lead local media in talking about this issue, and sadly, because no one else wanted to talk about it, that enabled plot to get to where they are today. Binghamton University didn't take it seriously, didn't take my warning and my conversations about this seriously, and that's why we are here today. And sadly, we don't need to be. This is not something that needs to happen. This should never have happened. We need to stop this now. Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow is, just like Antifa, a terrorist organization, in my opinion. They are the worst aspects of the fringe, fanatical left. And if they have a problem with that, I would love to know. They can come on the program and speak and tell me why I'm wrong. But they won't, because they're a secret organization that hides themselves behind masks and wears red bands to intimidate others. I find that to be cowardly. So I do ask, again, to hear from Councilman Conrad Taylor to explain why he supports this kind of repressive and repugnant action. I ask Assemblywoman Donna Lapardo to speak out against this in her party. I ask County Executive Jason Garnar, on behalf of the County of Broome, to speak out against this kind of violence, this kind of vile thought. I ask Congressman Anthony Brindisi to speak up and to try and bring some semblance of normalcy to his party in the Southern Tier and throughout the New York 22nd District. I say to plot, they have no place in America, and they should go away. And I say to everyone that no place in America should become like Portland in 2019. No city should have to be subjected to that. No people should be subjected to that. And if plot doesn't like it, guess what? My feelings say, I don't care. And isn't that reason enough for them? We'll see. But I look forward to hearing what you think about this. What are your thoughts about what plot is doing? What do you think about how students and possibly everyone will be treated by the fringe, radical, fanatical left? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? I look forward to hearing your thoughts. I thank you. This is Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier, and I look forward to seeing you again at No Soundbites Allowed soon.